Hey guys, it's been a while since we come to you from the Steel City Styrene Mountain side of the channel. We've got a shipping crate video for you guys here, a very special Christmas episode. Santa Claus showed up today with some stuff that I had ordered quite a while ago, and finally had to force ship out as the 60-day limit on my HobbyLink Japan private warehouse had petered out for a good chunk of stuff here that was ordered just back in October, I guess, technically speaking. And so this stuff is new, although it's not exactly brand new. It's not the brand spankiest, newest stuff. But then I really don't have a lot of brand spanky new stuff to put on order at the moment. It was not exactly a situation where a lot of the stuff that appeared out of the most recent, third, fourth quarter push really appealed to me a lot. The one thing we have on order is the Sesto Elemento, but of course that's being delayed, as all new Aoshima kits have a tendency to be, not so much in the delayed sense as I think they put out too ambitious a release date at times. But hopefully we can get everything to swap over here. We've gotten everything plugged into one video recording system. Hopefully this will allow me to switch cameras and mics at the same time without having to stop the videos and all the rest of that stuff. I mean, you'll never notice it because it'll get edited out, but to me, it'll make my life easier, and isn't that what it's all about? All right, guys, really?
Welcome to the workbench. I guess I've not seen this in this angle before. I've got the camera up here on a tripod that I've sort of semi-self-constructed. Okay, the camera's just hanging off my desk lamp, actually. It has little rubber feet on the mini tripod that I use. And those managed to hook onto the back perfectly and give me this area. Now, you guys haven't seen this angle before. However, I am working on a brand new video series that'll probably come out a little bit before the end of the year. I mean, granted, it's the 23rd right now, Christmas Eve. But I have one that's ready. It's already in post-production. I just need to encode it and upload it. And those two things take the longest amount of time other than the actual recording of the video. And so, when I get the time to sit down, edit it, which really won't take that long, probably 10 minutes, and actually then put it into encode and upload when I have a couple of hours to kill when I don't have anything to do, where I can just, set the computer to do what it's going to do, walk away, come back in an hour, and then do what I'm going to do with it. So, as we mentioned in the little intro part there on the other camera, this is our special Christmas episode of the what's in the loot crate, so to speak, from HobbyLink Japan. Stuff that I had ordered back in October, basically, that just came in now because it ran out of its time baking and had to ship it. Really not buying a whole lot right now anyway. It's Christmas. A lot of the money's going out to just end-of-the-year bills and things like that, as well as the holidays. And there's not, honestly, a lot going on model-wise that I'm not that particularly interested in. I'm looking to get the Mobius 61 Pontiac. I got to still pick up both of the Revell of Germany Porsche 918 Spiders. And that's about it. And we've got the Sesto Elemento on pre-order, but the kit's running behind as I expected. We haven't really seen anything out of the fine folks at Aoshima over whether or not the Sandbar fire truck's going to come out on time, but really at this point there's 7.5 days left of the year, so holding out a lot of hope on that one either, although that one probably only going to slide back a month or so compared to the Sesto, which may not be out until spring at this rate. And then even what we find out from Revell of Germany's release party, so to speak, in 6 days on New Year's, that stuff won't be out until 2016, the midsummer fall. So that's, it's fun to know about, but it's not impending stuff. So, not a lot being purchased right now because there's just not a lot going on that I'm spectacularly interested in. We'll see how the year rolls. There are a few releases from round 2 that I've read about. We haven't covered them on the stash report because they're a little too tentative to talk about yet. But, if some of those pan out, there's a couple of kits there I'm looking to get to. At any rate, so what we got going on here, guys, bunch of decals, several kits. We're also going to include some decals from a new company, although they're not new per se, called SK Decals. They're out of Macau, which is, of course, China. they've done decals before. They've done a whole bunch of decals actually, but this is really when they're making their sort of introductory push to sell outside of China. Their decals are starting to show up on some of the Asian retailers. They're not in Hobbylink Japan or Hobby Search yet, but they are on Media Mix Hobby, which is out of Singapore. And I think I saw them coming, maybe possibly going into Hobby Easy, which is the Hong Kong sort of vending site. You buy from Hobby Easy, you're buying from somebody. It's sort of the Amazon of Hong Kong hobbies, basically. You're buying from somebody, but it's not actually them. At any rate, SK Decals can be found at SK Decals on Facebook. If you want to order in the United States without going through a third party, you can order directly from them. The gentleman who runs it does speak passable English, at least in typing, so you can certainly get what you need to get done without having to, try to decipher Chinese or vice versa. Very high quality decals, comparable to Studio 27. Haven't got a chance to use them yet, but from just looking at decals on decal sheets at this point in my life, I can tell you whether or not they're going to be good or bad or whatnot. So, like I said, this is going to be SK Decals. Right there's your logo. And this here is for the 2013 Macau Grand Prix, or Macau Cup, I guess I should say. This is a set of decals for the Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG. Got to lower that a little bit so I get the whole thing in the frame. And try not to... Guys, I'm apologizing for the upside down thing here because I'm watching it on a side monitor. So I'm trying to get it in here with the least amount of glare as I can, but it's really not going to work because there's a tissue paper coating on this. Although holding it like that work. So you see here, there's a whole bunch of basically striping and panel decals. They're all in gold. The sort of a yellow gold, not actual gold, like gold leaf or anything else like that. And there's some contingency sponsorships up here. And we'll just flip it over on the back to show you the decal instructions. And the decals for the hood, the trunk, and the side coves. And what I mean by the side coves, of course, is like this area right up here. These are chrome decals. Very cool technique. You don't see a lot done because it requires special printing on silk screens. Makes them expensive. Well, these decals were only $20. But I'm buying, and also you're buying them direct, so you're going to get a discount. I'm not sure what they're going for through an actual retailer's website. This card, you just need to paint it the base color, and then of course all of the yellow gold decals are there, and then like I said, these are chrome, so these are decals as well, so it's a very simple paint scheme from that sense. And then the other set that they have out right now for the SLS AMG is this set here, for the AMG Performance Driving School. This was the winner of the 2014 Macau Cup GT race. Found it very interesting that when Studio 27 did their Macau decals for the 2014 race, they didn't do this set for this team, being that it won the race. It's a very basic set of decals. It's a white car, obviously. And then all of these decals here are all chrome as well. And then they go underneath all of the AMG wording. It's kind of hard to see on the camera because, the idea is it's underneath. So there's a stripe here on the roof. There's a stripe that goes across the hood here. There's, of course, this up here underneath the AMG wording on the doors. There's a stripe on the trunk. That all goes underneath, basically, as a first coat, and then all of the wording and stuff goes on top of it. It makes a very cool look on the real car, and these decals look like they'll make a pretty accurate representation of that real car. And those right now are the two sets of decals that are done for the GT3 cars. Now, they do have 4 sets of decals that they have just released for the B-Max Aoshima marketed Chevy Cruze World Touring Championship car. There are 2 different East Asian Grand Prix. One is China, the other one is something else. And they have 2 for the Macau Cup as well. They are 4 teams that are not done by anybody else. So that's if you're looking for some unique cars, that's certainly the first place to look for them. They're not the same teams or cars that were done by auto color when those kits first came out back in the summer. And right now, from what I've seen of the, what's going to happen with the cruise decals, they're not teams that are also going to be made in the future. Those decals are running very reasonable. One of them is $13. The other ones are $17. So, like I said, very reasonable price. And then the Macau Grand Prix for this year was about 3 weeks ago, and I know there will be some decals coming out from that race as well. What they are, I don't know exactly yet. I haven't really got a chance to talk to the guy since the race. So moving on to just the HobbyLink Japan goodies here. This is the Nissan GTR R32 dress-up decals. I bought these mainly because, it looks like a Nismo set of decals, but there's no Nismo printing or anything else like that on them. Well, this little blank, you can see it. It's right underneath my fingertip right here. But there's a little like supplemental decal thing in here about the size of a matchbook that includes decals for the, make sure you guys can see what I'm pointing at here. Go up as close as I can get it without, close as I can get it, and then still be in focus, yes? How about going this way with it? There we go, now it's in focus. For the engine valve cover, and the as well as the intake pipe. And then there's some Nismo decals for the hood and for the trunk, and some stuff here for the sides, right here and here. These two decals. What this ends up making, this entire decal sheet, is there are Nismo wording, the intake intake pipe decal, the intercooler decal already comes with the kit itself, and then there's some S1 decals. What this ends up making is the Nissan Skyline R32 GTR Nismo S1. The S1 is a tuning house that does a lot of Nissan parts. They're still in business. They do parts for mostly the Infinity series stuff right now, like the M class, the M cars, because and the regular GTR, the really high end GTR that currently is made. But this is a one-off car that they did that this decal sheet represents. It's very cool in that sense, because I thought it was just something that they sort of, they made up to look like something, but it actually, this decal sheet makes a actual vehicle. They should have said something like that. I ordered it on a lark, basically, because it was like $7, and thought it would look good on the new Nismo custom kit that Tamiya just put out. And here, this will actually, like I said, make a specific tuner house car. Also available for the R32 GTR new, well, this will fit the old one too, of course, since they're the same model kit for all intents and purposes, is this carbon fiber set by the venerable Studio 27 that is carbon fiber for the R32. Of course, it is the hood, the trunk, the edge of the trunk lip, these areas right here, they would be the tail lights, they'd be the taillight areas. And then there are wraps for the mirrors. These 6 decals here are the top, bottom, inside, and outside edges of the rear spoiler. There is, let's see, where they got the decals for the trunk duck lip spoiler, as well as the 2 grill bars in the front and the nose duck spoiler, or ducktail spoilers on the nose. I know it sounds funny, but if you have the kit, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very basic, like I said, decal sheet here. There's, the instructions for it are effectively, half of one page. I was going to combine the two and, just be like, oh, well, I got a carbon fibered Nismo. But since that Nismo decal sheet makes it a specific car, now I don't know if I really want to do that or not. This may end up just going on the regular base kit, and then I'll use the other set of decals to make the S1, mainly because this decal here that goes, on the edge here, this Nissan wording here, and there's a GTR logo that goes down here that you can't see because it's blocked by this piece in this illustration, are replaced with metal transfers in the actual kit. And then there's the S1 logo goes right here beside the Nissan logo, and if you carbon fiber that, the logo is the wrong color. It's black. And while it would probably show up, under light if you looked at it right, It won't show up, and I hate to not use this piece here because then the trunk, is carbon fiber up to the edge, and then the edge of the back flat edge is not. That just looks silly. So game time decision, but more likely this is going to be a completely separate build from the S1 because the S1 makes a specific car, and I think it's a pretty cool car. Although I would do my own little twist to it. Other non-GT3 decals from the pile here. This is the Salzburg dress-up decal for the 918 Spider Weissach version. They, of course, also did the... Whoops. Almost dropped it. Did the... I want this to bend so it'll stop glaring. There we go. They also did the dress-up decals for the Martini livery and the Golf livery kits. What's very, very cool about this is did not realize that it even came with this stuff. There's like right here, there's a Porsche 918 Spider. Let's see, get it up here. You see right there, the trunk wording is there. There's a bunch of other very, very tiny. It's hard to show you. I'll be here all day trying to get stuff to focus. But over here, there's like brake caliper decals. There's some Spider decals here. There's the logos for the gas tanks. There's 918 Spider decals for the dashboard, stuff like that. But what's really cool about this, and this, of course, will show you the placement guide on the back, like we always do, is for a black car with the red striping package. Also, this has basically 4 sets of instructions here for a black car with red, this car, a black car with white, a white car with black, and a white car with red. I bought them to do the white car with red because I saw a picture of the real car, sort of fell in love with the way it looked and went with that. But what's really cool about this is that there are, up here, there's this set of round rolls, which I believe is for the black car or the white car with the black stripes. The 25 here for the white car or the black car with the red stripes. There's also up here the number 3 logos, which go to the red striped white car, which is the one I want to build. And then there's another set. I can't remember what number it is up here underneath the Studio 27 thing. If you use all of these striping packages are complete, meaning that there's no parts you need from here that go with this or vice versa. So there are actually, in fact, not counting the scripting for like the Porsche thing down here and all these other things, which I assume that the Revell of Germany kit has, and these are just supplemental decals to replace them if you don't like the kit decals. You have 3 entire cars worth of decals in one sheet. Because you'll use the red logo. The only thing you can't make is the black car with red if you use the white car with red, but you can still make the black car with the white stripes and a white car with the black stripes if you use the red either for black or white, depending on whatever you want to do. And then, like I said, the corresponding numbers will be up here because they're not just like, a round roll with a bunch of numbers. And if you use the round roll, you're screwed. Each round roll is a little bit different from the other set, and so there's 4 complete sets. $16, and you have 3 whole sets of, basically 3 whole cars worth of decals. Very, very cool, very good deal on there. Also, one last thing here. This would be the Team Schnitzer Warsteiner, or Warsteiner, however you want to pronounce that, FINA decals for the 1993 British Touring Car Championship car, driven either by Steve Soper or Joe, I believe it will be, Winkelhock. This fits the Hasegawa BMW 318i, as have all of the ones we've shown you recently. This one you can make without having to worry about the stupid, goofy spoiler that goes on the back of the later ones, or the different front bumper that goes on the later ones. We've chronicled recently in the stash report the fact that their Studio 27 is starting to do 95 and 96 cars, which have a different front bumper. There's basically a different chin spoiler on the front bumper, as well as a rear spoiler that the kit does not include, and they don't include a resin conversion as of yet to cover it. But you can see there what the decal sheet looks like on the car. It's got basically the famous checkerboard logo for all the Warsteiner cars, or all the Team Schnitzer cars that were sort of basically ever done. Even their McLaren F1 GTR cars had this checkerboard logo on the back there. Those were also sponsored by FINA, and It's a cool little thing there. Yeah, you can through both Studio 27 as well as the kits themselves, as well as some decals by Decal Pool or MSM Creations that do some of the later cars as well. Basically, make almost every single touring car that Steve Soper drove in the mid 1990s for BMW. Moving on to GT3 decals. Yes, wouldn't be a shipment from Hobbylink Japan if we didn't have some GT3 decals. This is the TDS Racing Silverstone 2015 car, the car, the base car decals number 12 here. If you know your GT3 decals, you know they did another set of this. That was sort of a camo looking set of decals. They called the H2 Pharma car, but it was the same team and the same sponsorships basically. This car you paint a couple of different colors as it turns out. You have to sort of spray paint the front parts here. Oops, let's get a little closer so you can see what I'm talking about. The front parts have to be painted silver. The car itself is mostly red, and there is some black on the sides. Good grief. There we go. Gets a little bit of that glare off. So require a little bit of masking, but it's not a whole heck of a lot, not compared to the one I'm going to show you at the very end. Because a lot of this black is sort of combined with these decals, like these silver and white parts, like here and here, and on the back as well, back here. Those are decals. You can see them here basically. So parts of the black are there, parts of the black are not. But the red has to be painted, the silver on the very front has to be painted, as well as probably the sides have to be painted black. It's not that difficult a transition when you actually know the kit itself, because a lot of the parts are separate and work out. And then you have this, which is the classic and modern racing team, what they call the Groundhog number 30. I'm not sure why the Groundhog is there. It's more like Real Solutions is what sponsors this car. This one is a little intimidating on how big the decals are, but I think it may work. It may not. We'll find out, I guess. This is sort of the front end of the car right here, and then this obviously the hood area right here. Now, Studio 27 is very good. I mean, they're what makes this decal kind of scary is that this area right here is a decal, but this area in here will not be. There's nothing here. They cut their trim that close, obviously, because this number 7, this flag here does not go right here on this car. So this is a separate decal. So, the carrier film on these is very close by. And big decals on these cars, I had that one bad experience, and I assumed that all of them were going to be difficult and, require more work than they need to. In my mind, but you know what, I soldier on. This is a bunch of decals in here because this is very, very thick. But anyway, what this ends up looking like on the back here is this. If I can get this there, that'll work. Very, very cool. I like this paint splotch car very, very much. It's not going to be the next BMW I do because I'm going to show you the next BMW I'm going to end up doing. But it's certainly one of the contenders for what will come after that. The next BMW I'll end up doing is this. This is the Silverstone 2015 Boots on Guignon Racing car. You go, Boots on Guignon Racing? I thought they had McLarens. Well, they did until this year, and then they switched to the Z4, which is funny because that's only going to, that only existed basically this past race season. This car just has to be sort of flat black, or not flat black, but semi-gloss black, carbon fiber technically, but semi-gloss black will end up working for it. And then, it's a very basic set of decals. There's some some orange stripes, and, there's not a whole heck of a lot going on here. This will make a great companion piece because, I've already built the number 15 McLaren car, I don't want to say award-winning because it only won 2 local shows, but the award-winning McLaren that I built. This will be its new counterpart for the year 2015. You can see, from looking at it, it's very familiar in the, or I should say, familiar in the sense of being a family, thing. You can see the comparison there A lot of the sponsorships are the same, just a different car, and this will make a great companion piece, of course, for the car that I already have built. If I, I've been trying to strip the paint off that one car I was building now for about a month, and the paint ain't budging. So I'm thinking I'm going to sort of clean up that paint as best I can, cover it with another coat of paint to get it all nice and uniform again, and then we're going to plow on with this here so that we have the matching bookends. And then last but not least, yes, there's one last set of decals here. I know we're 23 minutes into this, and then we're just been talking about decals. Is this set from Monza 2015 for the RAW Racing? And you look at this, and you know, that's not too bad. That's pretty basic. You know, wonder what color base car that's on. Well, this is the Astra sponsored car, or Astana, I should say, Astana sponsored car. Guys, this is just a giant mess from my perspective, because this car is not what I really was hoping these decals would be. Yes, there isn't a complete roof decal here, and yes, there are like yellow striping decals for the hood and the sort of the front end, and this is the back window area. But unfortunately, this car is a great deal more complex than that. I've never managed to do a fade paint job yet. Never really had to. I don't think anybody has really, unless they're doing a lot of custom work, has done any fade paint jobs now. Pretty much in the racing sense since the since the Darrell Waltrip days, since you had to fade paint the sunburst on the Tide cars. I think it's really the last time anybody has really had to paint a fade. This fades from like a baby blue to black. I know how you do a fade paint job, so I don't need 85 people to go, well, what you do is, I don't need that kind of help. I know what needs to be done, and it requires breaking out my airbrush and actually practicing enough with it to not completely totally goof this up. But this, I was really, really hoping was going to be, I don't know, something. That they were going to do something with the front end of the car to make these decals, the fade part, you just to paint the back half of the car black. How I've been fine with masking the white part of the roof off, and that kind of stuff. But basically, you paint the very, very, very front of the car white, and the very back of the car, of course, is black, and then you've got this fade through, from light blue to dark blue into gray and into black. It's just, ugh. This one goes on the bottom of the pile just because it's just, aside from the fade part, it's a complex fade at that. It's not even just like, the fade from white to yellow to orange to red. That's some base colors there. Trying to get this done is not, it's not off the shelf coloring. It's going to require, basically custom mixing some paint and stuff, and yuck. I'm very disappointed in that. I knew what it was when I bought it, in the sense that I could see the decals before the payment request came in for them, but still, it's just unfortunate. I figured, because these were not the most expensive decals this month. I was hoping they would be a little bit more than they were, but they are what they are, and I will work around them. So that takes us over to the plastic portion of today's presentation. So let's talk about some model kits. First up here, this is the new Ebro, and I mean new because there's not a whole heck of a lot even in this that's the same as anything else. This is the Citroen 2CV pickup truck. This particular one is designed to replicate the Citroen Cars Limited of England Slough factory car trucks. It's a very basic kit. Unfortunately, it's also a very expensive kit, and those two things combined really don't make me a very happy camper. Again, I knew what this was before I paid for it. I could have canceled it if I really wanted to. This is a 5,800 yen kit. It ends up being about $47 on Hobbylink Japan. It doesn't have an engine. It is a curbside. And why that bothers me as much as it does is because they obviously did, with conjunction with Tamiya, I hit my knee on the table. Earthquake for you guys, and wow, did that hurt. Try to soldier on. Ow, ow, ow. All right. they did the Fourgonay in conjunction with Tamiya, and they used a lot of Tamiya parts for that, including the engine and all the drivetrain components. What this vehicle is in its general sense is the Fourgonay, basically with the roof chopped off. This is the same bed component you would see on the Fourgonay if you have a Fourgonay kit on hand. This does make an earlier generation Citroen. It doesn't have the small sort of 60s grille. It has the older grille from that. I'm not exactly sure what year this is supposed to replicate. It doesn't really say on the side necessarily. But you can, as it turns out, build this left-hand drive. This is designed to replicate the English and English Commonwealth kits. So, of course, the steering wheel is on the right-hand side in the kit and in the instructions, but the parts are there to build the left-hand drive version. If you want to do that, the only thing that this kit shares with the Fourgonay is the cab itself, and that's it. This cab, and then this cab is on a runner with some other Fourgonay parts you don't use, and that's it. Everything else is brand new tooling. Like I said, there's no engine, so it's a curbside, but the chassis is probably patterned after the Tamiya kit, but it's a brand new chassis. This whole front end is new because of the new grille, and the new the hood is a different is more ribbed, corrugated than the Fourgonay, the other Citroen that already exists. These doors are suicide doors rather than being regular sort of conventional doors like the later market the later years Fourgonay. But even the wheels, as I'm sure they're patterned after the existing kits, but even the wheels are newly tooled. Once you get past the first parts runner that has the cab, everything else in it is completely new tooling, which is probably why it's so expensive. But really, when you're charging me $47 for something, and the other versions of this kit that you have offered have had engines in them, I really wish this one had an engine in it, but it doesn't. What can you do? Say la vie, but wish it had an engine. Next up, from Fujimi, the Ferrari F355 Berlinetta. This is another curbside. But then I knew that going in. Sorry, guys, I need a drink. This is 74 parts, so it is a curbside. There is some engine detail on the bottom of the chassis, but there is no engine detail on the top whatsoever. There's not even anything to see. The hatch is molded shut, as well as being molded completely shut. The louvers aren't open. But from what I've seen of this kit built, it does make a totally passable F355 Berlinetta. They're, of course, releasing the Berlin F355 Challenge kit in January. So, there's another version of this coming along in the pipelines. I think that one's 78 parts or something like that because there's a roll cage in it. Very basic kit. Nothing, you can't really exactly jump up and down right home about it. But if you're a Ferrari builder, a Ferrari collector, I'd say like I am, but I haven't really built any Ferraris. I just collected a lot of them. If you're a Ferrari collector, then this is part of your, just mid 90s or late 90s collection. Kind of interesting about this is that the glass clearly states on it that it's for the Ferrari 348. So apparently the glass did not change in the car from the 348 to the 355. But if you look at the two, in relatively close quarters, because Hasegawa made a very excellent 348 that does have an engine, then you know that, of course, that those really are pretty much the same cars. There's just a few things have been changed. Staying with the Fujimi thing, here is the Daihatsu Mira Turbo TRXX Aero. Obviously, you only get one car in here, so you got to pick one or the other. But you can build the Turbo TRXX, which is a real car. This was a factory car. And then you have the Aero over here, which I'm not sure how much of this is a legitimate factory package and how much of this is, decided to sort of be an aftermarket type thing. You do obviously get two sets of wheels, the factory Daihatsu wheels, as well as the set of SSR little 13-inch baby wheels. I'm building this version. I don't know what, I know this is a very popular wheel. People will buy this wheel set separately. Fujimi does sell it separately. sort of weird wheel just in general, but I know it's a very popular one, so God bless you. It's a snap-tight kit, with the exception that this sort of edge down here on the turbo has to be glued on, and then all of the over fender parts here have to be glued on, but the base kit itself is a snap-tight. The other K car that was released at pretty much the same time, and also reissued at the exact same time, is this Daihatsu Lisa. This, of course, coming in the Z Turbo or the Aero. Again, much like the past one, this is a snap-tight kit. You get 2 sets of wheels, the factory set, and then I don't know what. I think these are supposed to be Oz wheels. I'm not really sure. There's a logo on these in real life inside, engraved on the plastic, but I didn't get like my detailed glasses out to see what they would say. Beyond that, it's pretty much the same kit. It's like I said, snap tight. There aren't the Mira has like separate seats for the two. I believe the seats are the same in both of these. You just have sort of a different front fascia. Basically, the kit is molded basically, like to here, and then the front fascias are different parts, as well as the rear bumper, and then you have some, rocker aero pans. There's a duct lip spoiler to this one, but the Lisa was a commercial car. They were mostly sold without back seats in them to get around a tax implication of this car, so that's why it's sort of appliance white. That's why this one is appliance white, because even with the Turbo RX, this was also designed to be a commercial car, like a delivery vehicle rather than an actual car. Don't ever ask me how the Japanese tax system on cars works. It's way too complicated, and I don't live there to understand enough about it. Let's see, another Fujimi kit. This one is the Y31 generation Nissan Gloria Cedric. Gran Turismo Super Veloz. There's, I guess, too much Super Velocing going on in a full size for Japan car. You can build this either way, as either the Cedric or the Gloria. Really, there's not a whole heck of a lot of difference between these two cars, even in real life and in this, in the construction of this vehicle. Basically, this front area here is different. It doesn't really probably look at that much, but the headlights are different in the kit and in the real life. And then, of course, the grills are different from each other. This one's sort of a crosshairs, where this one is just a single bar. And then there are different taillights. And that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. It really is quite that simple. That's why this, is a sort of a 2-in-1. You can build it either way. Because there really isn't a whole heck of a lot of difference between it. There is different. There, of course, are decals in here for all of the Gloria and Cedric badging. There are different dashboard decals because one's a luxury car, one's supposed to be a sporty car. But all in all, not that much. What's very interesting about these two cars, this kit in general, I guess I should say, and the Y32 kit that they did that hasn't been in production probably since it came out in the mid '90s, is the fact that these kits come with a left-hand drive dashboard. The windshield wipers in these cars are sort of, are the kind that, would, when they're retracted, they go down underneath the hood, so there's no windshield wipers provided, so that, there doesn't have to be a left-hand drive set of wiper blades. And I guess these cars were exported to left-hand drive, Asian countries. I think they may have also been exported into certain parts of Europe. Perhaps not. I read something, and I don't know how true it was about that. And so, you could build some Americanized, so to speak, Cedric and Glorias out of this. I got 2 of these because I'm going to build one of each. And then everything on from here on out, guys, is Because Race Car. This is the Japanese Touring Car Championship Team Schnitzer BMW 318i. Sponsored by the Stash Project, right? No, Stash Premium Tea. This will build either Steven Soper or... I'm trying to think what the heck the other guy's name is. It's it was Leopold von something or other. He was actually he's currently the Prince of Bavaria. Actually, at the time he was like His Royal Highness. Was teamed up with Steve Soper in the 93 and 94 seasons, or maybe it's 94, 95 season. This is 1994. Since it's Team Schnitzer, and all Team Schnitzer cars had it, but the drawing doesn't really necessarily show it that well, it does, of course, have that infamous checkerboard pattern that all of the Team Schnitzer cars always have. This was their first year in the Japanese Touring Car Championship. Oh, went the wrong way. There we go. And they finished, Steve Soper finished third in the JTCC Drivers' Championship in 94. In 95, he won the championship. It was the only touring car championship he actually won in events. He also won the 24 Hours of Daytona, or 24 Hours of Spa, the 24 Hours of Nuremberg and the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So he's won all the big, long endurance races. Very successful in touring car, but he only won the one championship. Won a lot of races, just never quite got around to the end. From Aoshima, the fourth and what I suspect will be final version of the McLaren F1 GTR Longtail racing kit. This one, I believe the 1998 24 Hours of Le Mans EMI sponsored car. This is a very cool kit, cartograph decals. Cartograph decals actually in the BMW too. Well, this is technically a BMW powered car, but in the Hasegawa car, that has cartograph decals as well. What's very cool about this is the first complete decal set that Aoshima has done. And what I mean by that is you paint the car this sort of McDonald's red that it is, and then the yellow stripe that starts here in the intake and goes basically across the back of the car, as well as the ducktail spoiler, all decals, and the white areas around the headlights and the sides, also all decals. There's also this little cove decal back here. This is basically a one-piece decal that goes over the front here, and then there's a piece of decal that goes over the top of the door, a piece of the decal that goes on the front of the door, and then a piece of decal for the bottom below the door. And this sort of side image here will show you what I mean by the sort of a yellow stripe that goes down the entire length of the vehicle going down there. That's all decal too. So pretty much the only thing you have to paint on here, anything other than red, is the wheels and the mirrors. There are no such thing as a wheel decal, but there are no overlay decals for the mirrors either. Those have to be painted, but everything else is decals. There's always the possibility that even with cartograph decals, that these are going to be, not quite thick enough, and you'd want to mask this off and paint this all white anyway. However, I do know that this is built straight from the kit decals themselves, and it looks pretty good to me as far as not fading. They're not pink or anything else like that. So hopefully they actually are thick enough to handle the problem there. And then last but not least are the big box. I have trouble scooching this all the way into the frame here, of the Tamiya Alpha 155 V6 Ti DTM cars. Finally, these took a long time to get into stock at Hobby in Japan for some reason. But finally, we did get them in. This is the Alpha Corsa car. One thing that didn't realize going in, it's a well-known fact now, is the fact that these cars, when reissued, they left the tire sponsorship off. These cars, because I also have the Jägermeister, I'll show you here in a second, were sponsored by Michelin. That was who ran the tires in the DTM back in the 90s. This is the 1993 car. There should be Michelin tire decals, and there should be little Michelin men all over the car. They decided not to license Michelin. I don't know if there was a problem getting the licensing itself, or what the deal was exactly, but be that as it may, they decided to release it without the decals. These decals are done by Cartograph, the actual decals themselves, so they're good decals, but they are not complete. They are missing the Michelin decals and the little Michelin man logos. You have a couple of choices. For the red car itself, SK decals, is offering, if you ask nicely and you put in a big enough order, they'll toss in a set of decals for this car specifically. Or you can go through Taboo Graphics, the people that made the decals I just showed you for the GTR S1. They make a supplemental decal sheet that costs about $6 that has the Michelin logos for both cars, as this one and the Jägermeister car, as well as what I believe to be 2 whole cars worth of tire decals. I have not actually sat down to see how many, if you're supposed to put 2 decals on each tire, just 1, so it may only be 1 car's worth. But the difference is that the Jägermeister car is orange. And really doesn't. Well, I gotta take this one off underneath it. Riding on top of the other box is just too big. But it just won't fit. There we go. The Jägermeister car, the Michelin logos, which again are readily apparently missing when you know what the real car looks like, they're black on the orange car. So the white ones that they do, that SK does specifically for the red car, won't work here because they're supposed to be black. And so you need the Taboo graphics for at least this. These decals also done by Cartograph, and for anybody who happens to be wondering, this kit is molded in orange. Got my Studio 27 carbon fiber decal set for the 1993-1994 Alfa Romeo kits. Anybody who's followed the channel for a long time knows the fiasco that involved in regards to getting the decals and then finding a 1996 Bosch sponsored kit and buying the Bosch replacement decals from Shunko, and then finding out when I got it all home and had $70 invested in the model and the decals, oh hey, they don't fit the 96 car. They only fit these 93, 94 kits. So finally, I have the kits that I need to put the decals on. So I'm looking forward to getting these kits going now that I have everything for them. But I do need to now go back through because I didn't realize it was a problem until after these kits have been around and people started getting them. I got to get the Taboo graphics set for this. I have the guys at SK were nice enough to throw me in a set of the Alpha Corsa decal replacements, but like I said, these need to be black on this orange car, and the only way to get those, as it stands right now, is to go through Taboo Graphics. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, or at least found something interesting in that. Probably will be another month or so before we do another one of these. So I'll have to clean out the personal warehouse at the end of January because I have a few things over there that I left over there because of the cost of shipping everything all at once was a little more than I could deal with it all at one time right around Christmas. So we'll have another one for you next month. It'll be little. There's not a whole, like I said, not a whole lot over there, and not a whole lot's going to be coming in either. So anyway, we hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. We will, of course, be here Friday for the Stash Report. A few things to talk about. Probably be a short video because Japan was closed today for their winter solstice holiday, and I don't expect a whole lot to happen in the next 2 days. Even though Christmas is not a thing there, it's just not a lot going on. So anyway, enjoy your holidays, and we'll see you Friday, and catch you guys. See you on the inside.